Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Just Breathe, the podcast for Black moms and mom adjacent women by Black moms and mom adjacent women, where we talk about episodes that are important to us as Black women. And today I have the pleasure of interviewing one of my dearest and best friends, Arcille Williams. And today we're going to talk about a topic that might not be so fun, but is very important to our community. We're going to talk about loss and what happens when you lose the matriarch of your family and how that impacts you as a Black woman. So, Arcille, first and foremost, hey girl.
Hey, boo.
Thanks for coming. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, I'm going to start with our friendship.
Yep.
Of 30 something plus years, almost 40 years of friendship. Can you believe that? But yes, we're friends for life. We always say that. Yes, I'm also married. So that's important too. I should say that too. And more importantly, specifically for this episode, I am Carmita's daughter.
You are.
Which is also really important for me at this moment.
Yes.
I'm her daughter.
You are her daughter and will always be her daughter.
Always.
So tell us a little bit about like just the importance of the mother-daughter relationship. And of course, talk about mom because her mom, y'all, was my mom.
Absolutely. Okay? Absolutely. So my mom, as my friends refer to her as Mama Carmita, for me, she was just mom. Our relationship was the best. She was ride or die for me. I was for her. She was everything for us. And the best way I can explain it is my mother just exuded love all the time. She just loved me no matter what. She loved my friends. She loved our family. She just loved. It's the best thing about her. The only thing that really matters the most is how much she loved people.
That's the truth, y'all. Because let me tell y'all something. As teenagers, we were a little wild.
Rough.
Well, I can say that I was a little wild. Okay, I'm going to speak to myself. I will only tell my own story. And Mama Carmita knew that we were out going to do something that we had no business. And she would be like, all right, y'all, have a good night. And she would slather our foreheads with the cross to cover us. Like when I say slather, it was like from here to here, all the way across. And she did not care if she messed up your makeup. She did not care. And when I say she loved us, no matter what we were wearing, no matter what we were doing, no matter what, she truly exuded love. How did that growing up, having that strong mother-daughter relationship, how did that impact you as a grown woman? Like, how can you see the threads of like her love throughout your life?
It's a great question, Nikki. I think now I am compelled more than ever to live that legacy even more so. So I want to show up for my friends, my village, my family, my people, my children, the way my mother showed up for us. I want to live a life that is non-judgmental. I want to live a life for them that is completely open door policy. We shared everything with my mother. Yeah. And I want that for my children as well. Yeah. I am mom adjacent.
Yes.
And so I don't have any biological children of my own, but my friends have given me enough children. Yep. And so I want to be that mom the way my mother was for us. I want to be that mom for them. Yes. If that's the best way I can explain it. I just want to love them no matter what.
I love that. I absolutely love that.
It.
And I can definitely say that you are that for my children, for sure. We're not going to start crying already, nope. But you are that for my children for sure. So for those women who, and I can say that I'm one of them, like I'm a mom that was not mothered. For moms who are now trying to raise children that don't have that, what advice would you give them? Like, what would you say to them? Like, how do they make it through?
I think the best thing is acceptance. Sometimes I think people tolerate people, and I never felt tolerated by my mother. I felt completely loved and accepted. Yeah. And she may not have agreed with everything as I was growing up. But I always knew that she would be there for me. I always knew I had a safety place in her. Yeah. And so even when I messed it all up, I knew I could come back and say, okay, that didn't work out so good, Mom. And she would say, no, it sure didn't. And then we would move on, right? Yeah. But there was no level of judgment or malice or anger or disappointment that I ever felt from her. I always felt accepted. And so I would say to moms, acceptance.
I love that.
Accept your children, accept your family just as they are. Um, don't try to perfect them into what you want for them. Just be the person that they feel safe with
I love that.
is the best way. Yeah.
So acceptance.
Acceptance.
Acceptance. That's so good.
I just think it's important just to be present for people. And I felt like my mom was there,
Yes.
present always. And even though she worked a ton, as all moms do, my mother was a single mother. And so she did the best she could with only herself, right? And so even with that, I always still felt very accepted
I love
by
that.
her. I knew she was working morning to night to provide for me. But I never felt like I went without either. So I knew the struggle for her personally, but I also knew I have what I needed
Yeah.
also.
Yeah.
I felt safe, I felt protected, I felt cared for. And even when things got tough sometimes, and they did financially, or just the battles of mothers and daughters, I still knew in the back of my mind I always had a place.
I love that.
Always.
I absolutely love that. So as you think about the tough time of transitioning into having that, and then going through knowing that you were losing that,
The worst.
talk a little bit about like what was that? How did you? First of all, how did you get through that? Because we all know that grief is ghetto.
Ghetto.
So talk to us a little bit about like that transition time and what was that like for you?
I think there was my mother, looking back now, it's been 2 years since my mother started to not feel well. And I remember, and I will say this, I think my mother had such an understanding of herself and her purpose that my mother shared with me at the last moment that she was transitioning.
Oh, wow.
I'm glad I was able to listen. My first response was wanting to solve it, because who wouldn't? But I remember sitting on her bed as she said, "Arcille, I think it's time." And I was like, take a breath, Arcille, take a breath. And I did. And then, of course, I took her to the hospital because I knew that was the right thing to do. And so those last 3 weeks specifically where my mother rested, I realized during that time frame there was a level of separation that was starting to happen. And so every day I sat with her. I held her hand. I talked to her. I told her everything that I needed to say. So that gave me peace in knowing that I could still connect with her. But at that moment, specifically during those 3 weeks, I began to realize like there was this pulling away that started to happen. And I couldn't really embrace it because I wanted her. And so even though it was happening and I knew it was happening, there was a part of me that was like, no, not yet, not yet. And so I am so grateful for the village of friends that my mother had around me, and that she welcomed as my girls, because they were able to help me kind of hold me together while I just focused on being her daughter. And so now that transition has happened, I've learned that she's still with me. Her DNA is my DNA.
Yes, ma'am.
And so the relationship is the same, just different. I still feel her presence. I still feel her love. I still feel her acceptance. It's just different. It's a different way of interacting with her now than I did before.
I love that. I absolutely love that. So what would you say was the key ingredient to letting you talked about the pulling away. Like, what was it that allowed you to finally embrace that and say, this is happening and I'm going to be okay?
I think there was something that my mother kind of trained me for lack of a better word. I look back now and I'm like, that was the moment. So I'll put it this way. I think my mother and all moms raise their children for not just the good moments, but the tough moments.
Facts.
And so I think about you and growing your children. I think about the way my mother raised me and us, that it wasn't just to for the celebrations, but it was also for like, okay, it's tough right now. And so I look back at those moments where she connected with me during those hard moments, and she would say, "You're strong. You've got this. You can handle this. Think through, be strategic, be thoughtful." Where at the time it sounded like noise. And I would just heard like Charlie Brown's voice in my ears at those moments. Now looking back, I'm like, she was preparing me for the hard moments.
Hard moments.
She was not only saying, girl, live your life and be on the mountains, but she was preparing me for those valley moments too. And so I think it's important that we live on those mountain moments.
Yes.
But it's also that we're prepared and equipped for the valley moments too.
That's true.
And so I think she did that. And so when I realized it was happening, I was like, oh, this is this valley moment. This is the valley moment that she's prepared me for. Okay, I got to figure this out. And so no one could tell you what to do at that moment. But my hope and my prayer is that we find that red thread, if you will.
Yes.
To not just celebrate the mountains, but also celebrate the valleys. Because I think in those valley moments and the road leading up to the mountain is where you really discover who you are. And so I discovered a lot about myself during that time. And I discovered a lot about her during that time.
Tell me more. Okay, talk more about that. Wait a minute. That's
it was
something that we don't talk about. It's like,
it's true.
What did you discover about your mom during her transition?
I thought about it because my mom was in a hospital.
Yeah.
And so all the medical terms, right? You hear she's not doing this, she's not doing that. And so at that moment, I felt as if my mother seemed so helpless. I felt like my mother was not really in control. And this is coming from a mom who was always in control.
That's true.
So it was hard for me because I'm like, she's not able to control when she eats, or she's not able to control when she's like, she doesn't have control. Looking back at it now, I think my mother was in full control. I think she planned it. She was meticulous in it. I think even down to what people thought was a moment of like, she's not eating. Looking back now, I'm like, no, I think my mother was trying to separate.
Oof.
And I think my mother was coming to an understanding of like, this is what I need to do to keep going. And so at the time, I didn't see that. Now I'm like, oh, my mother had this whole thing planned out, even down to the actual day.
Wow.
And so even down to the moment, even like all of it was so calculated. And I just think she was in control of that. I mean, how could she have not been?
Yeah, that's true. Given who she was.
Given who she was, how could she not?
Yes, I think about that all the time. Because my dad passed. My dad was very sick, and he seemed to have been getting better. And then all of a sudden, he wasn't. And I it's nothing but the Holy Spirit said, hey, go visit your parents.
100%.
So I surprised my parents, went to go see them. And my dad was able to, I brought both of my children, and I never traveled, just me and the kids, to go see my mom. We had agreed that we wouldn't see each other this Christmas. It would have been our first Christmas not seeing each other, and something said, get up and go see your parents. And my father passed the day we got there.
Yeah.
He waited for me.
Exactly.
He waited. He was in full control. He waited for me, and he wanted to say bye to Maya. He wanted to say bye to Malachi. And he knew that my mother would not be able to handle that alone.
Never.
He knew.
Totally.
He knew that she should not be alone. So I definitely fully understand what you mean by saying they orchestrate the whole
completely
thing. And I knew my father would not have wanted to live. His next step was to be on oxygen.
Exactly. He would never have done that.
Absolutely not. There's no way that Terry E was going to walk around with an oxygen tank. No way.
As proud as he was.
Listen.
Girl, no.
As swagged out? No.
Never.
What? That would have interrupted all of his swag. What are we saying? Absolutely not. But I think it's that, like you said, that going back to saying like that, understanding the separation and understanding that we have to do the understanding of letting go.
Yes.
Which is the most difficult part. Because like you said, we want them close.
Absolutely.
We want them here.
100%.
So what would you say, like, and I know the answer to this, but you can go ahead and tell the people, what got you through?
I think it's twofold. I think my mother, as your father, they grew us up in faith.
Yes.
And so I do not know how people go through this journey of life without having faith. It is the best gift my mother ever gave me.
Yeah.
Was giving me a relationship with God and people. Is the best thing ever. So I would say that's the first thing. The second thing is people.
Yeah.
And so my mother, again, coming from a single parent home, my mother was really, it was really impressed on me to have healthy relationships.
Yeah.
And so she made room for my friends. And I am so grateful that those friends from childhood are the same friends that are with us now, because you can't do this without your village. You can't.
No.
And so it was prayer. It was the community of faith. It was my girls checking in on me, making sure I ate every day and drank water and slept, who just allowed me to cry on the phone when I needed to. If those two things were not present, I understand how people develop depression and anxiety and fear and all of the things that happen to people when they lose someone so strong and significant as your parent.
Yeah.
I get it.
For sure.
100%.
Because what's the thing that you're looking for on the other side, right?
If you have nothing.
If there's nothing, what is it that you are moving towards?
Nothing.
Right? Because grief is real. It is real. It is ghetto.
It is ghetto.
You never know when you're going to feel sad or something is going to come upon you or something is going to happen. But if you don't have a joy is coming in the morning,
then there's
what are we looking forward to?
Nothing. You have nothing. I heard this quote last year, actually. It was really significant. It said, grief is like a boulder in your pocket. And when you first get it, you're weighed down by it. Eventually, you begin to develop stamina. But the boulder is still there.
Talk to the people. What?
The boulder is still there.
Yes.
But you learn how to carry the weight of the boulder differently. And sometimes the boulder's still heavy and you can't move. And sometimes the boulder feels like a pebble. Nonetheless, it's still there. It is forever present. It is always in your pocket. And I agree with you. If you don't have hope, if you don't have a joy to look forward to, that boulder will be with you always.
Oof.
Always. If you do this alone, that boulder is forever with you.
Now that's the quote for the people right there. Grief is a boulder in your pocket.
It's a boulder in your pocket.
In your pocket, people. Did you hear the in your pocket?
In
and
pocket.
Sometimes it feels like a pebble, and sometimes it's a true boulder.
It's a boulder.
That's amazing because I think that is something that, especially as Black women, we assume that grief is something that you pick up and you put down.
I'm over it.
I'm over it.
I'm over it.
And people tell you time heals everything.
Does not.
It doesn't.
It does not.
That's a lie.
It's what you do with it. It's what you do with it.
Do you hear me?
It is.
It is that part. Because what are we sitting around waiting on?
And time could actually be your worst enemy.
Oof.
Because you just sit with time, right? And you just watch the clock go. So yeah, it's what you do with the time is most important. And you're right, Nikki. It's surrounding yourself with the right people, and it is having faith. It is.
You got to.
You have to. You can't do this alone.
You listen.
You can't.
You're setting yourself up for a full failure. If you're trying to do this thing alone.
Can't.
So in your journey, because this is a journey, the whole thing, life, grief, the whole thing is a journey. Where are you right now in your journey?
I am starting to see how all the life lessons that my mother has taught over the past 49 years for me, I'm starting to see a lot of that come to this is why. This is why, Arcille. I said that.
Dots.
This is why you're doing this or this. And I'm like, really, Mom? That's where we are? Okay, girl. So there's that part of it.
Yeah.
I think there's also a part of my mother wanted me to live. And I promised her every single day that I was going to do my best to do it.
You did.
And so I find myself living. I find myself looking at life through a different lens of what I consider life to be. And so I think when we were all growing up, when we were in college, it was like, what car are we going to drive? The fanciest of clothing. We have to have the best of everything. And now I look forward to my friends.
Yeah.
I look forward to sweatpants and socks and enjoying my home with my friends. I look forward to going home and watching a good movie and eating good food.
That part.
Because that is living right now for me.
I love
And I think that's important too, that I'm learning to see things in a different lens than what I thought just 20 years ago. Things have changed.
I absolutely love that. I absolutely love that for so many reasons, because I think we think that it's supposed to look different.
Yes.
It's got to be this flashbang, exciting. We got to go out and, now I'm going to get rid of my retirement account and I'm going to go and buy all the fancy things. No. And you're like, yeah, actually, I just want some jogging pants and my homegirls, and we're just going to do karaoke in the basement.
And a good movie. That's all we need.
That's all we
need. All we need.
But that's something to look forward to.
Oh my gosh. Right? Love it.
And that's attainable.
Love it. I love it.
So if you could give the people just one word of advice for going through loss, dealing with grief, it's going to be more than one word. I already know, people.
It's going to be
She's about to just buckle your seatbelt, because here it goes. If you could give them some advice for going through loss, specifically losing a parent, which is a club that nobody wants to be a part of, but we all are going to be a part of it. There. What would you say about loss, grief, faith?
I think the first thing I would say is be gentle to yourself. Take a deep breath. One foot in front of the other. Don't forget to pray.
Oof.
Don't forget to pray.
It's that part.
I think that's important.
Yeah.
You got to breathe. You have to be gentle.
Yeah.
Every single thing is big when you lose a parent. So even just a phone call that seems very simple becomes a lifeline. So take care of the people in your lives that are experiencing grief as well, because that's important. And just learn to be gentle to yourself as well, because I've had to learn to do that too. I've had to learn to take a breath and just everything slows down a little bit. But in the words of my mother, you got to pray.
Yeah. You
got to pray. You have to dig deep and reconnect. I said this very publicly. You don't lose things you love.
Yeah.
So I never will say I lost my mother. I've experienced the loss, but I know exactly where my mother is. And I didn't lose her.
Yeah.
I didn't lose her. She's with me.
I love that.
She is. So pray. That helps.
Y'all heard the lady. Pray.
Pray. Just pray.
That's period. Point blank. If you ain't hear nothing else, go to the Father. Pray.
Go to the Father.
Spend some time. Well, I definitely appreciate you coming to spend time with us today, and sharing such an intimate and important story, because again, we're all going to join this club one day. And if we don't have those nuggets of wisdom specifically in our community on how to deal with it and how to transition and how to make it through, we won't make it. So I definitely appreciate you coming and spending some time with us today and sharing the story of Mama Carmita, who I love very much.
I know. She loved you, girl.
Definitely. Thank you so much. And
Thank you, my love.
Hope you join us for the next episode of Just Breathe.